Hello there, my friends. Lauren Sisler here with AL.com. Welcome into our Week 10. Yeah, that's right. Week 10 SEC Insider brought to you by All South Appliance. And I am hanging out here on this beautiful Monday here in the showroom off of Lakeshore Parkway. Got the kitchens going on around me, got all sorts of stuff. Hey, it's Thanksgiving week. And it's also Iron Bowl week. Maybe we'll cook up some good football. I know that was cheesy. Don't laugh, Michael Casagrande. I hear you over there laughing. You're giggling. Whatever. So, Michael, it's Iron Bowl week. What Iron Bowl number will this be for you covering Alabama and Auburn? Do you know?
11 or 12, I don't know.
Well, you've got me beat. So I came to Alabama in 20. So up on the mark, not quite there yet.
Yeah, I've been around every year. I guess I missed one in 2012 when I was in Miami, but every year since then.
Okay. So before we get into the Iron Bowl discussion, Alabama put up some big numbers against Kentucky this week, and I guess the final score 66-3. And by all accounts, some people were at the very beginning of the game were chewing their nails a little bit, maybe only for a very small amount of time. And then, of course, Alabama brought out the steamroller. Just wanted to get your overall thoughts on what you saw out there and where we are heading into this week.
Yeah, I don't know if as much as chewing nails, but they were probably more annoyed at the situation, the way that the Kentucky was moving the ball and Alabama's defense again. It kind of, they'd been pretty solid the last few weeks, and Kentucky was moving the ball, picking up first downs, threw the ball better than they expected to, ran the ball. There were some bad. It ultimately is what Nick Saban and several defenders said, that there were some just bad gap fits. There were some bad assignments. They cleared it up, and it wasn't an issue after that. I think after Kentucky had 3 drives where they netted, 177 yards, and I think they finished with 178 after a bad snap on a field goal, and then just generally they had 23 yards on their longest drive after that, and none more. Everything else was in single digits, several negative drives. So it wasn't an issue for Alabama too much defensively. Kentucky, and it comes with the caveat, Kentucky was obviously shorthanded. Several of their top players, their top running back was out. They had 10 players out. Their long snapper, which led to the 2 bad field goal snaps. So it wasn't really a fair fight to begin with. And in the end, Alabama did what they were expected to do.
Yeah, and I certainly think that plays into the narrative that we've seen this week. I was at the Georgia Mistake with 4 scholarship players, of course, ended up putting up a good fight against Georgia, much more than we anticipated, but certainly has made for an interesting season. Now, before we move on to the Iron Bowl, I do want to bring up this play. Bryce Young, his first touchdown throw of his Alabama career. Take a look.
A top back from the quarterbacks usually. 3rd and goal. Bryce Young eludes one, throws on the run. Touchdown, a spin in for Devontae Smith. Ability to get outside the pocket and throw off platform. Look what Young does here. It's a great move to get outside the pocket, and then watch the arm angle moving away. He fits that ball into a.
So, yeah, just your overall thoughts. Obviously, a very elusive play. Showed us a little bit of his skill set. And, just to see Bryce Young get in there, I know everybody's kind of anxious to see what he brings to the table and what he can produce for Alabama long term.
Yeah, no, it was kind of everything that people were expecting out of Bryce Young. He came in, he threw 2 passes that game. Obviously had that one. The first play he threw had a really nice, I think, 36-yard fade down the sideline, perfectly thrown ball to Devontae Smith in that one, the touchdown. It was interesting. He kept his eyes upfield. He had the pass rush right in his face. And after the game, Devontae Smith said, he was asked about that catch, and he said he pretty much didn't have a choice. He put that ball right on his hip, and he just kind of had to reach over there and catch it. So it was just precision throw, tight window, borderline. You could always say could have been dangerous, but it was a perfectly thrown ball right where it had to be for his first career Alabama touchdown pass, 33rd of Devontae Smith's career, extending his SEC record. But yeah, it was one of those moments where I think people saw a flash of what they expect to see in the future.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously, Devontae Smith getting the record now at 33, pretty impressive stuff. And I know, that number is going to be padded out here in the next several weeks as Alabama gets ready for the Iron Bowl SEC championship. They control their destiny there, and then we'll see where things take them. So with that being said, Iron Bowl week, it is here. It is finally here. Things obviously a little bit different this year as we've been kind of climbing through this pandemic, and notably the Iron Bowl, it's sort of we're kind of at the top of the mountain, and the season is winding down. And a lot of times this game has a lot of implications. But of course, there's a game to be played afterwards, and potentially a makeup game after that. We don't quite know what the makeup or layout of that's going to be. But how is this Iron Bowl, I guess, different in terms of just it being a pandemic year and things being different than what we've seen in years past, with this not being the last game of the season for Alabama and Auburn?
Yeah, there's so many times it comes down to being a play-in or a knockout game for the SEC championship, and technically for Alabama, they would still hold a tiebreaker over Texas A&M if they were to lose the Iron Bowl. So I don't know, people don't want to talk about that, but it's still technically, people like to talk, does the Iron Bowl matter? And of course it always does in a certain sense, but it's a complicated year, and Alabama's still in a pretty good position. They're rescheduled to play Arkansas the week after that, with a mystery week to follow after that. Not really sure how any of these reschedulings are going to go, if they're going to reshuffle the deck at all. I know Alabama has the LSU game that's still kind of sitting out there. Not sure what they're going to do with that. LSU has the Florida game scheduled for that week before the SEC championship. So, it's one of those things where we're going to have to wait and see how's the SEC going to figure this out. But yeah, I mean, it's always the Iron Bowl is always something huge, whether there's championship implications or not. Obviously, Auburn's beat Alabama 2 of the last 3 years. So there's a bad taste. Last year's game was probably one of the more crazy, entertaining, maybe underrated games in this series, overshadowed by some of the Kick Six season 2014. There were some memorable games, and I think last year's was just pretty outrageous from top to bottom, from beginning to end. It's crazy plays, pick six off the back. It's just kind of one of those chaotic atmospheres. It was fun. It was fun to be around because it was just back and forth, trading punches. And this year's going to be as opposite of that as you can get in terms of an atmosphere. It's going to be in 20,000 fans in a stadium. How many Auburn fans are there? And it's, we'll see. So it's not going to have that same kind of chaotic atmosphere that's kind of been so much fun about what makes the Iron Bowl. But that's just the year we're living in. That's just the circumstances we're under. And, can't complain too much. They're still playing football.
Yeah, I'd have to say our relationship status with 2020 is definitely what you said. It's complicated, 100%, a lot different. So with that being said, you said the atmosphere is obviously not going to live up to the standards or the hype that we're used to seeing in most Iron Bowl matchups. But you had a good post. You did a comparison, how Alabama compares to Auburn. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that. As of right now, the opening spread, a 25-point opening spread with Alabama taking that. So just your thoughts, because we do enter into a little bit of a different season. We've seen what these two teams have done. You outlined it there, and just the back and forth. And, in recent seasons, Auburn exceeding expectations in the Iron Bowl as opposed to them coming in. As it stands right now, what are your expectations in terms of how they compare on the field and on paper?
Yeah, I mean, on paper, Alabama pretty much has the edge in most of the statistical categories. Maybe punting is one of the few that they're last in the SEC in punt average, but I think they lead the SEC in both scoring offense and scoring defense. So that's a pretty good combination if you're putting the two together. The defense that had been taking some heat, giving up 40-something points to Ole Miss, hasn't given up a touchdown in nine quarters now. Against some of the lower tier offenses, but still they've been doing their job. Another pick six on Saturday for Jordan Battle. So, they're definitely improving. They're showing signs of improvement. They're showing the ability to improve within a game with the way they played against Kentucky. But Auburn, they're an offense that it seems to always can give Alabama troubles with the different motions, the different speeds, the hurry up, the sugar huddles. It's kind of the things that you're used to seeing. New offensive coordinator in Chad Morris, but they're still doing a lot of the Auburn things. And, it's being able to affect the quarterback is important. I know Bo Nix can sometimes get a little jumpy in the pocket. And Alabama definitely hasn't been as good getting to the quarterback this season. I know sacks aren't everything, but the quarterback pressures aren't where they had been in that sense. So I think that's going to be a key to get to him, to keep him comfortable in the pocket. Because last year he had some success throwing the ball against Alabama in that what is it, 48-45 game. So we'll see.
And it's worth noting, I guess, here, Alabama won the last 4 Iron Bowls in Tuscaloosa by a combined score of 186-77. So we'll see how this one goes down. I think it's still going to be a competitive battle. Obviously, you just never know with these rivalries, and certainly the Iron Bowl being one of the greatest, in my opinion, in college football, and the opinions of many. So, Michael, we appreciate the insight. Of course, that game kicking off CBS 2:30 on Saturday, Alabama versus Auburn in the Iron Bowl. We appreciate you, and of course, we appreciate our sponsor, All South Appliance Group, proud sponsor of SEC Insider, inviting you to visit us on myallsouth.com or at any one of our showrooms in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida.